Hello everyone and welcome to episode 11 of our Colonizing the Solar System series. It is me here, Bren, and we are continuing off where we last left off, literally. And we have our orbit of our Alpha 1 satellite, and we are going to now try and get that MUN approach. So we're not exactly in the, the most prestigious area for the MUN, but you know what? Okay, that's not too bad. See, that there is. Let's see. Does that bring me in closer or further? That brings me in further. So that tries to tell me that I need to bring that in to there. No, see. So here's where you gotta fiddle with it a little bit, right? How close can you get by adjusting your... See, that's a parallax on the MUN of 333,000 meters. That's really not that bad. $2,000 meters. That's a bit too close. Now 110,000 is actually pretty decent. So we want this thing to get pointed to its maneuver. We got plenty of time. I think that actually is a fairly decent approach. Now the only problem is if I miss it, it's a goner. And it will end up out there lost in space somewhere. But that's okay. I'm pretty sure we got this. So let's wait till this thing gets on target. It's gonna take a little bit. I mean, unfortunately, as massive as this thing is, it's takes a bit to get moved around, unfortunately. There we go, and we're getting some solar power there, which is good. So we get ourselves pointed. I mean, we are a big, long, heavy rocket here. We got a big burn here ahead of us. We got a bit of fuel left in here, but we do also have some fuel left in this sucker here. So we will have to probably break the burn partway through and do a transition of the staging. That shouldn't be too much of an issue. I'm just worried how long it's going to take to get on this dot, right? Once we're on this dot, we get to our burn. It is only a 42-second burn. I think we have a 42-second burn in us. Remember, we did burn 2/3 of our tank on an 88-second burn. That we literally may just have enough fuel here to do this burn. And then we can drop that stage, and we have this full stage of fuel here, just to get ourselves properly positioned around the MUN. And it will give us a time to be able to properly position ourselves so that we can get the best amount of signal, if you will, from what we're trying to do here. Now, I haven't spent much time on the MUN. I've messed around a bit. I have, in another mess around on my own, I have landed a lander on the MUN. It was very tedious. I was able to do it. We will try and do that again. I actually want to get an unmanned rover on there, and I want to try and land a base, obviously, there as well. So we're going to need to get some unmanned equipment up there too. So I think before we do that, we should try and get our ISS up. So let's get a satellite up or two up on the MUN, and then we got to make sure that the base we establish up there is capable of, I can't say constant communication with Kerbin, but we want as much communication with Kerbin as possible. So we are now finally aligned on our target here, and this is where we'll just do a wee bit of time acceleration As long as we don't lose our point, it seems we're staying pretty good on it. Let's get down to the... Slow it down here a little because we definitely do not want to overshoot this. It's very important. That's why you guys get to sit back and enjoy the tedious countdown when we get to this 1 minute mark. All the way down to 22 seconds for this burn. Remember, if for some reason we lose communication with the mun, or with this dish on the way to the mun, we will be screwed. This satellite will disappear somewhere into orbit. I don't know where, I don't know how, I don't know where, how, when. All those things I just said again. Well, there'll only be one way to find out. At least this way, I'm not risking the lives of our valiant and valuable Kerbals. We'll wait till we get a base established and send them up there to do valuable research and development on those facilities. Okay, we got the big engine again, so instead of at 22, at 25, we're going to kick this engine off and go. Because it takes a couple seconds for it to get up to speed. And I think we're good. And have we affected our approach? No, we are still at 110. Again, what we're more concerned of is this burns fine. We got to keep an eye onto it, but it's more of watching this fuel. Remember, when this fuel drops and we have to drop this engine, it's going to put a delay into it, which is going to put our periapses a bit off because we have that delay. It's also a different thrust vector as well, providing a different delta V. So by the looks of it, we are going to need to cut this engine. We may even luck out that this engine might just last us right down until like 20 or 30 meters a second remaining. It's going to be a close one. I mean, we're at full speed right now on this Titan engine, and we're just trucking along here. Well, it looks like we're going to make it down to about 100 meters a second remaining. Okay, and we are off in races. Let's get into the map. And where are we at our apoaps? Getting there, getting there. A little over. Where do we make it? Look at that. Look at that. That's beautiful. There we go. We made it to 109 meters a second on that. That was amazing, actually. That worked really, really well. So we want to put this at just a slight 105, 112. So if I read this correctly, it said that the synchronous orbit around here was 2,970 kilometers. I wonder just exactly what that looks like. I mean, we got time. No, because its sphere of influence isn't that far out. So you can't get a synchronous orbit around the Mun by the looks of it. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, so we just bring it in. 156. 105. 98, 118, but we want to keep it above 100. 100 and 126. I think that's okay. No, that's too far. 122, 104. 113 and 102. 109 and 99. 108 and 100. I think that works. I think that's a good maneuver, and we're already on that point. It's a 13-second burn. So all we need to do is then time accelerate 5 hours. So there is this flight computer. Prograde points in the direction of the first maneuver node. Okay. And it tells you when you want to execute this burn. Right? Example 125 is 125 seconds. 5 minutes and 20. 5 minutes, 20 seconds, 1 day, 1 hour. Oh, and then comma 123 meters a second. Okay. So this is something I could be using. I don't know how to use it. So we're just going to turn it off, I guess. And we're just going to hope that I can do this properly. So it is now time for the acceleration. We're going to time warp it some. We have 5 hours to burn off. You're going to see as we leave the planet here and we get close to here, we're going to start coming under the influence of the mun. Now, we want to be careful of our time acceleration here. See, we just changed influences. Again, remember, very careful. Let this accelerate even more. We are still in communication. Oh wow, we still have tons of communication on this. Yeah, we're hitting tons of points. Okay, we're getting very close to our point here. Whew, that really sped up on me. Okay. So we have a 200 and some odd second burn at 13 seconds. And if we don't make this, we're going to be screwed. Okay, we are still in communication. We still have this burn. I'm definitely going to have to watch a video on how to do that flight computer bit. Okay. So we will lose signal to the mun, or to the satellite once it gets on this side of the mun, and then we'll have to wait till we bring it on this side, and hopefully we have enough power that we can do this. Okay, keep an eye. We're getting close. Ready? Okay, we're gonna bring it in. It's bringing it in. Still get connection. That's good. Okay, bring it down in, slow it down. We still have connection. We're still within that sphere. Got plenty of time, I think, before we lose signal with Kerbin. Okay, kill it. Got it. 0.1 over. That's beautiful. Look at that. There it is. You're 97. You're still up high. And you're 113. Okay. So now comes the important part. We need to get you pointed to the sun so that you can produce power. Right? Bring it around. What's going on? How come I can't turn on SAS? Oh. I don't know what happened. Apparently I've inadvertently done something. I can't turn. Okay, there we go. Whew. There we go. Get her pointed more towards the sun. Okay, bring her down. There we go. Look at that. 47. That's 2 of the dishes. Why are you bouncing back up? Sit down, you fool. It's not like you're weight heavy. Oh well. 23 it will recharge. I want to get that battery back up. It's important. Okay. So we are here. And I think we've got ourselves a decent orbit. Just trying to think, like, can we actually, as much as stupid as this is going to sound, but I want to do an equator orbit of this. Can I do that? I could actually perform an equator orbit of this. Point to the node. Let's see if we can do it. We have to do an orbit before we can. But that actually would probably be the better option, because that would actually give me an orbit that would point me more so towards Kerbin at all times. I can't believe it. I'm actually going to attempt this. It's not a bad orbit. If I keep the satellite pointed towards the sun, I guess this way. At most of the time, it should be able to do it. We're even almost on the spot for our node. We're actually just about to attempt this. This is going to be insane. I have to compensate for basically 668 meters a second worth of velocity to change this, and I have to do it at the 13-second mark. Hopefully I have enough fuel for this. At this stage should have enough fuel to perform this burn. Yeah, we should have enough fuel to perform this burn in this stage, and then afterwards we can separate this section and call it a satellite. Then all we have to do is point it in the right direction. Okay, we're getting close to that burn. Very close. It's always like an anticipation. It's like, you know, you get all like excited for this. Okay, we ready? 2, 1, burn. Look at that. Look at that. Big elliptical orbit around this sucker. Almost. Let's call that golden. Booyah. Oh my dear, and I still have tons of fuel left in this thing. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have our orbit. That's amazing. Okay, so now what we need to do is decouple it. Okay, and then we switch ships. We have to point retrograde. And this needs to burn out of the way. This has got tons of fuel left into it. And we got to figure out how we're going to retrograde burn this thing to send it somewhere. Add maneuver. Okay, maybe that's the wrong way. That's 5 mil. That's 3 mil. That's not too bad. Kind of get yourself right down in there. 500 burn, 17 seconds. Get yourself on a nice wide orbit, floating around. It's not too bad. Point right to that maneuver and away we go. Okay, while you do your thing, we need to just make sure that you are you seem to be pointing the way you should be. And okay. There we go. That's perfect. Look at that. 78. There we go. 78 electricity a second. It just goes to show we got a good point there. And we should be able to maintain our signal here. And I only have that one dish going. So now what I do is I gotta get another satellite up here with that orbit, and then I gotta bring that satellite out on an orbit like this. And if I can do that, if I can get another triangle of satellites set up around here, which is kind of hard to do since you can't get a geosynchronous orbit, but I could set up my base. You'd think some satellites going around. I'm gonna have this. I mean, it's just like NASA with Mars. So you can't have 100% full coverage all the time. But if I can put a satellite in here in kind of a bigger orbit, maybe one or two here in a bigger orbit, so that it goes around slower, we might be able to get ourselves a good amount of time where that dish is always going to hit, right? Or we put it in an orbit like this, an opposite polar orbit like that, so then that dish will always be able to see that dish as well. So then when it's on the back side here, it will be able to communicate here, because we're going to want the base on this side, because this side is typically always facing the sun, right? And that's how we're going to get the solar panel or solar power for the base. So it's kind of where we have to place it. So we could get one more dish out here, I think, and put it around here and do that way. That will give us some decent coverage, because we'll have coverage there. And then we put one orbiting this way, and I think between the three dishes we should be able to have sufficient coverage of that base, as long as we get them orbiting properly, so that this one here will always be able to communicate with the one going this way. And we just make it so that when this one comes around, it's the time that this one here is coming on the dark side. And that if they have roughly the same size orbit and they're going the same speed, they then should be able to cover each other while the opposite is on the darker side. That would be the idea. So we'd be trying for that almost perfect orbit, if you will, so that we can get this one at the same orbit as this one here. That would be the attempt. But with that being said, that is our first satellite up and around the Mun. And then we just gotta find a nice, lovely spot to set down. Someplace with a little light on the crater side, you know what I mean? We could put it right down in that massive crater hole. Or, you know, we could put it right here. This looks like a nice little area. There's some spots on here that look like they won't be too bad. We could probably set it right down in this area here. Looks fairly clean, doesn't look too mountainous. Right? There's plenty of spots. We'll find a nice clear one. But I think that's our spot right there. We'll mark that. X marks the Mun base. We'll send down a rover first. We'll put a small relay station down, some solar panels, and the ability to try and charge it, and then we'll have some way that the rover can dock and undock and charge up, and we'll have the solar panels down there for battery. We'll have to work on that design. That'll be something that we do off, and something that we might do a brainstorm stream for and see what we can figure out. But until then, thank you all for watching. That was episode 11, and we have successfully got our first satellite orbiting the Mun. Thank you all for watching. If you like, make sure you hit that like. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe. And as always, your comments are greatly appreciated. So until next time, thank you all for watching. Take care and have fun. Goodbye.